And in a few short weeks, back at home, South Carolina is going to join Alabama and Arizona in implementing crackdowns on illegal immigrants that many say are unconstitutional. The new South Carolina law requires police to call federal immigration officials if they even suspect someone that they've stopped on another matter is an illegal immigrant. Employers will also have to check the immigration status of their new employees. The Justice Department is attempting to block the law from being implemented, contending it infringes on federal immigration laws. Congressman Gutierrez is a Democrat from Illinois. You will be in Charleston tomorrow to protest the law, Congressman, and you're serving as an advocate for a South Carolina resident who is facing deportation. What are the issues here as you see them? What's wrong with the South Carolina law and others around the country that are trying to be implemented?
Look, it is the federal government's responsibility to carry out immigration policy. The state of South Carolina can arrest someone, can pass laws and then arrest people, but they can't deport anybody. That is the role and the provenance of the federal government. So tomorrow, Andrea, I'm going to go to a hearing, immigration and enforcement hearing with Mr. Gabino Sánchez. Mr. Sánchez arrived here as a teenager 13 years ago. He's a wonderful father to an 8-month-old American citizen child. He has a 6-year-old American citizen child. He has 2 wonderful. He's never been involved. I have the memorandum here that was issued by Enforcement and Control by Mr. John Morton. And in this memorandum, as you recall, they said, we're going to prioritize criminals and not people like Mr. Sánchez. So I'm going to go up to his hearing. I'm going to go to his hearing with him, accompany him, and I'm going to ask him that they cancel the proceedings against them. I think that's the best way to tell South Carolina that you cannot enforce immigration policy. That's the federal government, and stop profiling people, because that's all that really happened. He was driving without a license. He was Latino. He doesn't have any documentation. So he was held for 5 days before he was handed over to ICE, and I think they should stop any proceedings against them, and I'm going to accompany him tomorrow, because otherwise this piece of paper and this document of the Obama administration really doesn't have any weight or any meaning.
And do you see any daylight on the Republican side in the fact that Newt Gingrich at least talked about not a pathway to citizenship, he says, not amnesty, but some sanction, some ability for longtime residents to stay, to find a way to, quote, legality, whatever that means?
Yeah. Look, I think Mr. Newt Gingrich's statements are a step in the right direction. They're very different than the kind of chorus that we've been hearing from the Republican presidential candidates. At least he begins to reflect on the reality that we have 12 million undocumented, many with long histories with children and families and really deep roots in the communities in which they live. And that we should look for another resource.
Let me just point out to you that I've just learned that just now on the campaign road, Newt Gingrich has said in South Carolina that it is a disgrace that the federal government, having failed to do its job securing the border, his words, is now filing lawsuits against states that are simply trying to do what is the federal government's own failure. So Gingrich is now criticizing the government for going up and challenging the South Carolina law that you're going to be protesting against tomorrow.
I'm not surprised. I'm certainly not, I didn't think there would be a lot of consistency to the statements. He's being banged about pretty ruthlessly by the other presidential candidates, so I wouldn't be too surprised if he changed his position. Look, I was in Alabama last week. I'm going to be in South Carolina again tomorrow. I'm going to go to a hearing. This administration has said we should deport criminals. Those should be our priorities. And you know what? I agree with the administration. Then they also said we should cancel any cases against those that have no criminal record but have deep roots, that have children that have came here at a young age. And so I'm going to be there and stand with Mr. Sánchez tomorrow, and hopefully he'll have his case canceled tomorrow.
We will follow up. Thank you very much. Safe travels, Congressman.
Thank you.